Are you dreaming about travelling again? I bet you are. So give yourself a break and listen to my brand new travel podcast. It's made for people like you, by people like you. And in these podcasts, there will be interviews with different types of travellers and the strange characters that I've met on the road, with stories and anecdotes from the last 32 years of my continuous backpacking and working around the world. Also, there'll be cynical destination descriptions and the occasional travel tip to smooth your journey. And for all the squeamish listeners out there, I just want to say that no studio was used or abused in the making of these podcasts or any of the recordings. So please check it out, and I hope you like it. Oh, and by the way, my name's Alan. Okay, this evening I'm down at the port overlooking the marina as the sun sets. I have a young lady here who has Indian roots but has travelled widely. She has a lot of experience travelling. I'm going to get her to introduce herself and then I'll ask her some questions.
Hello everyone, so my name's Nina, I'm in my 30s. Currently travelling all over Portugal.
Where in England do you come from?
I'm from London.
Okay, and how long have you been travelling on this trip?
So far it's only been a week, but I'm planning staying here for a little bit longer, perhaps another 3 weeks also.
Okay, and how would you describe your type of travelling? Are you a backpacker or a suitcase puller?
I'm a bit of both, but I tend to be more of a backpacker these days, because I feel that I get way more out of backpacking than being in a hotel by myself.
What countries have you visited?
There's about 90 countries, so I think if we have to go through it, it will be the end of the interview.
Give me your best and worst country.
The best has got to be Kashmir because it's really untouched and extremely beautiful.
And they have a massive lake.
Yes,
and you can go on the boats.
It's called Dal Lake and it overlooks the Himalayas.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely stunning. The worst has got to be Gibraltar.
Okay.
It's got to be the worst.
Gibraltar is just a rock. You can see it in 10-20 minutes. It's easy.
Yes, and this country has got to be one of the worst I've visited because there's literally nothing to do apart from pubs. And also, I must say I haven't really enjoyed Kuwait because once more you have nothing to do.
Do you find you're a solo female traveller? Do you find you have problems when you travel or not?
Mainly not. And obviously, as every girl experiences, we would have the odd man trying to push their luck. But apart from this, we are self-managed individuals and it's up to us to actually put the boundaries up.
Okay, so guys can be a problem.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as you get older and you travel more, you get used to that. You see it coming, you sort of read it and you can deal with it, I think. Is that true or not? Maybe I'm not.
This is mainly true, but you cannot always see it happening.
Okay.
Depending on how sophisticated the person is. One, we can't always assume that this is the case, and secondly, you just never know.
That's right. You can put yourself into a bad situation, and then you have to get yourself out of it. But,
exactly.
But that comes with experience. I think the more experiences you have, the more you can see it coming. What would you say your passion is in life?
It's got to be travelling.
Well, that's
it's
good.
So rewarding on a personal level.
What has travelling given you?
Openness of the mind, freedom within the constraints we have in life, but mainly the sense of freedom and of growth, personal growth.
Yes.
It's probably one of the best things.
Yeah, and you learn so much on a daily basis. You learn a lot. Every day's an adventure and things happen, and you basically just learn as you go, I think.
Completely.
Yeah. Have you done many countries in Europe?
I would say most of them.
Okay, which would be your favourite country of Europe?
I wouldn't say that I have a favorite one because I believe that each country offers different things altogether. And actually for me, I find that the people that I connect with in each country makes the difference. And
Okay.
I would say that in 99.9% of the countries I've been, it's been about the people. So I've enjoyed all my travels as such. Yeah.
Okay, and if I said to you hammocks, tents, hostels, hotels, what would be your preference there?
I think hostel at this point.
Why is that?
Hostels, because you meet people same frame of mind and the passion for traveling, so it's very nice to be with like-minded people.
Yeah, you can't help but meet people. You
Yes.
make a lot of friends and you meet a lot of people with more experiences and you can pick up information for the next place.
Totally, and we share our experiences.
Yes.
And we actually create very nice friendships instead of actually being locked in a hotel room somewhere.
That's right. What did you do when you were working back in England?
I was a banker,
Okay,
yeah, for a major bank in England, in London mainly.
how many years did you do that for?
9 years.
Do you have any pastimes, hobbies or passions that you do outside of travelling?
Sure, I love planting, meeting my friends. I do a lot of sports such as badminton. I
Yeah.
love playing pétanque also.
Oh yes.
I'm quite active and I like indoors as such as outdoor activities,
Okay.
board games if we are talking about indoor stuff. Yeah, I mean plenty of passion.
And when you say planting, you're talking about working in the garden.
Yes, growing my own fruits and
Oh, lovely.
vegetables.
Okay. Now, how do you think coronavirus will affect travelling in the future?
I'm very concerned about this, but my first issue is the vaccinations that are being forced upon us to.
But will they be mandatory or not?
I believe it will be, because there's more and more control going on by various governments around the world. So I believe that they will make it compulsory, and that's one of my main concerns. And I really don't want to be vaccinated.
Would you go to prison for it?
I hope not. I hope not. I hope then to travel more by rail, overland.
Okay, what is your favourite form of transport from one destination to another?
I mean, if we're traveling within Europe, I don't mind doing coaches and trains.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I have to take planes, I mean, the experiences in airports nowadays are not that pleasant. So
Right.
if I can
Yeah.
avoid it, I do.
And my listeners know I'm an overlander, which means I only take a plane when I have to.
Yeah.
I love flying, but I hate the airport either end, and I just think it's a waste of fuel. But
Sure.
it's only my preference. Okay, is food important to you when you travel?
Yeah, it is extremely important, and even though it's very easy to get cheap food, I really try to go to markets on a daily basis to get fresh fruits and vegetables to take care of myself.
Which market do you go to? The municipal fruit and
Yes.
vegetable and fish market? Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah,
And what about music? Does music play an important part in your travelling?
it's important because I love listening to local music from wherever I'm traveling to, and I actually like keeping the music from those countries because then
Okay.
it just reminds me of the time that I was in visiting that country.
Have you visited South America?
I have.
And did you enjoy the music?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, it's really pleasant, the pipe music. How would you describe your earliest travel experiences?
Of course, I was just taking planes and arriving in one place only and roaming around. But as time went past, I became more adventurous. My first travel places were mainly the French Riviera.
Oh,
so
nice, yeah,
roaming around
I've been
Nice and the
I know that
Côte
very well.
d'Azur, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my wings grew and I flew further and further away.
And how old were you when you started travelling?
I would say 16, 17.
Okay, did you travel with other people or on your own?
By myself.
Okay, so
Yeah.
hence you've built up this sort of knowledge and experience of travelling on your own.
Yes, to my parents' horror.
Okay, that's normal. What advice would you give to a single girl who wants to go travelling?
Oh, don't be scared. I think society gives you so many barriers.
How would you prepare yourself if you, for example, you're giving advice to somebody? How would you tell them to prepare themselves for the road?
Use your common sense as you would at home. Be aware of what you're doing. Dress up as you should be dressing up to keep yourself safe. Respect the different cultures that you're roaming.
Absolutely, especially in Muslim countries and places.
Especially
Hindu and Muslim countries.
Exactly. Respect comes both ways.
If a young lady wants to travel or she wants to backpack, to learn to be aware is possibly the best advice. Is not to be scared, but to know your environment. Would you add anything to that?
Yes, know your environment, and again, as I said, use basic logic. Don't go and hang around at 3 a.m.
Drunk. Not to get. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, drunk.
Or don't go to an ATM at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. And with barely any clothes on.
Yeah.
And
dress appropriately for the country you're in.
Completely.
Do you plan when you travel?
Not really. I'm a freestyler.
Okay, and think of a destination and then just go. Just do it.
For the first night, for example, I would book somewhere so that I know that I've got somewhere to stay. But normally I'm interested in a country. I have a little overview of a country, but once I'm there, I actually listen to what people have got to say, especially travelers, and then I also take a look.
What is it about travelling that makes you travel?
It's the excitement of new adventures all the time, different cultures, different food, sceneries. For me, it's like food for the brain.
You said earlier that your hobby was growing your own vegetables. How would you see that for the future? Would you see of getting some land and being self-sufficient, or that's going too far?
No, it's definitely going that direction. I'm looking to do this in the next 4 to 5 years.
And when was the last time you were back in India?
In India, I visited India in 2015.
And do you go back often or not? You still got family there, I assume?
No, I've got no family in India.
Oh, okay.
I've got family in Mauritius.
Okay, then explain to the listeners, your life started in Mauritius, and tell me the story.
So my ancestors are from India, and with the British colonizing Mauritius, they brought Indians in. Land workers normally. So that's where it all started. And my grandparents were actually born in Mauritius. So it's my grandparents' parents that were actually born in India. So I don't really know India as an Indian person, but just as a Londoner and someone from Mauritius.
But that's a fantastic backstory. It's a story of roots.
Totally.
And I think it's, if you had a DNA test, that would even be better because you'd see where you'd come from originally. And
and I plan to actually spend a year or two in India because I really want to understand my roots.
Absolutely. That's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. How would you describe your life as a young woman travelling? How do you see the future?
I mean, I would love to carry on doing so, but I see that there are more and more restrictions under the excuse of coronavirus. But, somehow I will try as much as possible to dodge all this and to carry on doing so, because if I stop traveling, I think this is going to really make me very sad.
What is the worst habit society has got?
Selfishness, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very much so. And it seems to be getting worse. We're getting more individualistic. And that's not necessarily due to our own faults, but how things are built for us, such as being on the internet all the time, communicating via social network and things. And I think it is destroying our human fabric.
And the planet, eventually the planet.
And the planet, yeah.
If I said, I'll pay for a holiday for you anywhere or a trip anywhere, where would you go?
I think I would love to go back to Kenya.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes, I really love Kenya.
Yeah, that's good.
I love the people. I also love the culture and what it has to offer. But my second best would also be Ethiopia. One of my favorite places in the world. It's very enriching for me to be in a place that hasn't been colonized by anyone and has also got a lot to offer.
You can hear a traveller just going past with his suitcase, and us backpackers don't make that noise.
Yes, indeed.
Have you had any bad experiences while travelling?
I would say it relates to men, as women do normally, and just persistent men, or for example, I've tried couch surfing. I've stayed with women and families and girls.
I'm not a fan.
I would say that I've traveled around the world through couch surfing, and I've had 99.9% positive experiences.
Okay, so couch surfing is a way to travel around?
Definitely, because
you meet people, again, you can't help but meet and...
Well, you meet people from that country, which actually in youth hostels you meet people from all over the world.
Yeah, that's right.
So in a way you have more of an authentic exposure to the country.
Yes.
I've done this in so many countries, but the one that I experienced trouble was sadly in India, where it appeared to be a very nice gentleman, but at night, he became a little bit suggestive, telling me that I might be hot in my room to come in his room.
This is always very sad. Asia tends to have a bit of a problem with this.
I wouldn't say Asians necessarily.
But no, I was talking more of like Malaysians and people like that.
Southeast Asians. No, it's something you can experience almost everywhere. I was also in LA and in the Bahamas. It's not literally a cultural thing, but it's literally a
man thing.
You can't generalize. It is something that I think most girls have been exposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel bad for the girls. A good experience, a good story.
I went off the beaten track. I was meant to go to Delhi, and I contacted the couch surfer.
Okay.
And then he told me, we are planning a wedding in Kashmir. Why don't you come over?
Wow.
And as an Indian girl, I mean, I'm a Hindu, technically speaking, by religion, but I don't believe in religion. So I still went to Kashmir, even though it can be quite dangerous for non-Muslim girl. I had the best time. And that person happened to have hosted most of the presidents around the world on his boats.
Oh, wow.
Overlooking Dal Lake. And he invited me to stay on one of the most majestic wooden boats.
The boats are majestic. I mean, they're just majestic. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome boats.
The most care taken. I mean, it was him and his family there, wonderful wife and kids, and it was...
Yeah, it's just, they're fantastic people.
You do meet fantastic people. Yeah.
I have a couple of friends who are from Kashmir, and they have a boat. And it was given to their grandfather, by the English owner when the English were kicked out.
Okay, interesting.
He just handed the boat over to them or their family.
Yeah.
What about funny story? Do you have any funny stories?
Funny, nothing that's coming to my mind, but I've got some really touching stories.
Give me a touching story then.
Such as, I believe I arrived in Bermuda, in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And I arrived late at night. It was a British Airways flight. And as I went to get money out of the ATM, the bank didn't give me any money. And because I had failed to advise the bank that I was traveling to Bermuda...
They tend to block your card if you're not careful.
Exactly. There were no bureau de change. Totally out of money.
Yep.
And then I was standing by the taxi taxi stand and just wondering what I was going to do. And the woman, presumably working at the taxi stand, asked me if I needed a taxi, and I said yes. And I told her, but I cannot because I don't have any money to get to to my destination. And she asked me where I was going, and then she asked me to wait for a second. And a few minutes later, she came with like $100 and gave it to me. And but I had pound sterling in my pocket, and she didn't want my money. But I still gave her the money and more for her kindness.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And that was a very touching moment for
anybody
me.
gives you money and doesn't expect it to be returned.
A stranger
is an incredible act of generosity and
beauty. It's one of the beauties of humanity.
The amount of money doesn't make any. It's the fact that they're doing it. The fact.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Just beautiful, and that story will follow me
forever. I would
forever.
Imagine.
Yeah.
What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? People, having a good time, good conversations, humor.
Do you work remotely, or do you just travel at the moment?
I'm traveling at the moment. I used to work in banking, so I've saved enough money for now to not work for a few years.
Okay. Would you try and do a different job, or would you try and stay in the banking world, or?
Not at all. Never respected the banking world. I just used it as a base for my future. I would like to contribute to society now. I am currently learning something called nutritional psychology, which is the westernized version of Ayurvedic, in the hope
is that you're learning that online and
and in the hope to educate people about food, because we really lack education on food. That's why you see so much illness. I live in Berlin currently, and it's a great city for your food awareness.
And do you speak German?
Ein bisschen.
Okay. And how many languages do you speak?
English, French, Creole on the same level. And then you have a bit of Italian, Spanish, Hebrew, Hindi, but a little bit. Yeah, little bit.
That's good.
And German, of course.
And do you have an ear for languages? So if you heard a language, you could pick it up quicker than someone else?
Most languages, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I admire that talent in anybody.
Yeah, and I think you develop this as time goes past and you're exposed to different languages and different culture. You somehow start understanding people with little words.
Something I've noticed during the coronavirus, where we're wearing masks, you can't read a person's expression now or read their lips subconsciously, which we do automatically when we're listening to somebody with a foreign voice. And people struggle to hear what you're saying because they can't read your emotion or your lips. So I think that's a funny.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think the eyes talk, and eyes say a lot. I've always looked at people's eyes because they are indicative of a lot of things.
Is there one thing that you carry with you, that you take with you all the time, possibly not a part of your equipment, but just something you take along with you every time you go travelling? For example, I had a friend who travelled and he always took a full iron, a 2-kilo iron with him. Okay, now do you carry anything in your bag, or what's the most important thing you'd carry with you?
Floss.
Okay, floss, which is light. I mean, you could carry a box of floss and it wouldn't weigh too much.
Yeah, floss, and then I've got this little toothbrush, little plastic thing, sadly plastic. They're not really making it with wood right now, to go between your teeth.
Okay.
Also, but no, I travel light.
Okay. And how many kilos would you say you're carrying?
At most 15.
15, okay. Yeah, that's still pretty heavy for a young lady like you.
Yeah, 10, 15, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever walked the Camino de Santiago?
Sadly not. I would like to do that.
But you know there's possibly hundreds of tracks going towards Santiago, so you could take a short one, a long one, from Portugal or from Spain. There's a lot. I mean, Thank you very much for the interview.
My pleasure.
Please travel wisely and safely.
Thank you.
Good night. I'm sorry about the motorboat that started up in the marina for a few seconds near the end of the recording. Thank you. Well, that's all for this week, folks. And please remember, the same road can be travelled 1,000 different ways, so get out there and make it your own. Until next week.